So I thought I would talk just briefly about something that I noticed, and I don't know how to get past this in terms of talking to people. So I told you I had subscribed to some folks that are obviously very strong Trump MAGA supporters, so I could listen to their videos, hear their viewpoints, see what they were saying. And I watched one of their videos this morning, and one of the things that struck me was they showed a picture of their computer screen, okay? And across the top were multiple tabs open. And almost every one of those tabs was a Fox News tab or an X platform tab. And then they focused on what they wanted to talk about, which was a rant about how all Democrats are terrible, evil people and the cause of all the ills in the country today. And I thought to myself, well, of course, because you've got a worldview that you've boxed yourself into. All you're looking at is this one little view, and occasionally you'll change the angle, but you never go outside this view to see what else is going on in the world. You're right here all the time. And in addition to that, it's an echo chamber. In other words, we all know how the algorithms work on these platforms, right? When you start to watch videos or you respond to posts on X or Twitters or whatever, and I've seen this especially on TikTok, the algorithm will start presenting you with the same similar content over and over and over. If I start looking at oil painting tutorials, that's pretty much all I get presented with. If I start looking at real estate property flip tips and tricks, that's pretty much all I'm presented with. If I if I spend a lot of time looking at um, posts and videos that are leaning towards one political spectrum or the other, that's all I get. And that's all I hear. And I will never, ever see that there is anything going on outside of that view, of that window. So I don't know how to combat that. I don't know how to encourage people to step outside their comfort zone. Um, I know that people that are, I talked about the fact that being an independent makes it extremely difficult to decide who to vote for these days because on the Democratic side, I see a lot of people that are disagreeing with each other on how they think things should work. And they're very vocal about it. And that is as it should be in a country where you have a bunch of disparate views on how the country should be run or how things should be done. On the other side, on the Republican side, I see a lockstep with the administration. No matter what they do, how they do it, no matter what the ramifications of their actions are to the citizens of this country, everybody's goes right along with it. And Congress and the Senate in particular are meant to be checks and balances. The administrative branch, check and balance. The judicial branch, check and balance. News, another check and balance. And none of those are working right now. There are no checks and balances because no one's listening to the checks and balances. No one's listening to the other side. No one's paying any attention to what the other side is saying and trying to get a grip on how people see things, how people worry about things. Um, so let's take something real simple like immigration. There are people in this country that, from their heart, they look at an immigrant as a human being, as a person who has real value, and they have a life, they have aspirations, they have things that they would like to see happen in their life, and they have desires for their kids. And many of those aspirations and desires and likes and thought processes align very closely with our own desires and thoughts. But there are people in this country that have decided, I guess, that anybody that's an immigrant is a second class citizen and should not be here. And and it's a totally mind-boggling perspective in America, a country that was built on immigrants and immigration. I mean, it's a bizarre concept to think that people would think that immigrants don't belong here. And you have to be real careful with that. How far back do you go? You know, there are many, many people that are full citizen United States citizens that are only one generation removed from parents who immigrated to the United States. Do we get rid of them? Melania Trump married an American and got American citizenship. And so her son is an American citizenship, has American citizenship because of that. Should he be here? I mean, you have to be really careful how you think about this stuff and the ramifications of that. Now, for people that are Christian, truly disciples of Christ, they look at something like the parable about the Good Samaritan, and they realize that the person that was hurt on the road, we have no idea who he is. We don't know if he's a Jew, a Samaritan, a Greek, a traveler. We have no idea who he is. It's a person that is hurt, bleeding, on the road, needs help. The Samaritan doesn't check his immigration status. He doesn't check his papers. He doesn't check to see what party he belongs to. He sees a person in need and helps them. And that is the basis for what Jesus was talking about. Now, if you don't believe that, that's fine. But what does your heart tell you in terms of these people that are here in the United States looking for a better life? Now, should we throw open the borders and have everybody pile into the United States? No, I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that we have to have some compassion and some kind of an immigration policy that works, that continues the tradition in this country of welcoming the tired, the poor, the needy of the world. That is who we were. It's not who we are, but it is who we were. So just something to think about, when you look at what's across the top of your browser when you open it up in terms of your bookmarks. What are they? Are they all democratic people, democratic sites, democratic uh, social media sites? Totally 100% democratic. You have absolutely no other view on your bookmark bar. Or is it all MAGA? Is it all Trump, White House, people that are in the White House, X, people that are on X that support the White House? And remember that I, I don't know how, I mean, I don't know how we got here. I don't know how we got here from the party that used to be the party that really used to rail against the government and the things the government would do and not believing the government. And now all they do is believe the government. Everything the government tells them, hook, line, and sinker. I don't care what it is. The government could tell them the sky is green, and they go outside and look up and say, okay, I guess the sky is green. I don't know why. I don't know. Why? I don't know. Anyway, this is something to think about, in your copious amounts of spare time of thinking about things. My next video is going to be on spirituality because somebody asked me about that. So I thought I would do a quick video on that. So you can look for that upcoming and skip it if you're not interested, of course. Just like you'll probably skip this video. Have a great day.